to this evening's primary election candidate forums for Fremont County Sheriff and County Commission. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Fremont County, thank you for joining us. The League is a nonpartisan grassroots organization and part of the National League of Women Voters founded in 1920. I am Michelle Escudero, and I am the chair of the Fremont County League's Education and Outreach Committee. During our primary election season, we're pleased to host 11 candidate forums in Lander, Riverton, and Shoshone. We dedicate this season's work to Fremont League founder and Wyoming League president, Linda Barton, who left us too quickly this past spring. We continue her work in our county and across Wyoming to support our democracy and improve our election process. I want to take a quick moment to thank our partners who help make these forums and our education outreach possible. County 10 for hosting the live video stream. We always have a huge audience online, and lots of people look at the videos afterwards, like thousands. Amazing, right? And WYO Today for printing and publishing our voter guide, of which it's hot off the press. You'll receive it in the mail. Starting, I think, Saturday. We thank our county clerk, Julie Fries, and her staff at the Fremont County Election Office for their continued support of the League's work and for the exceptional work they do to run our elections and to register voters. Tonight's live stream will be available tomorrow on County 10's website, YouTube, Facebook, and the League's website, lwv10.org. We also thank Central Wyoming College for hosting us tonight. And finally, we thank our crew of volunteers, our timekeeper and moderator, who have contributed countless of hours to make these public forums a success. The League's mission is simple: to empower voters through education and encourage informed participation in our democracy. The League does not support or oppose political parties or candidates. Instead, the League provides unbiased voter information and creates opportunities like tonight's forums for voters to hear directly from the candidates and make their own informed decisions. When a qualified candidate is absent from a public forum, voters lose the opportunity to hear, compare, and evaluate the full range of perspectives before casting their ballots. The League serves as a neutral facilitator. The forum questions are never shared with any candidate prior to the forums. Each candidate receives equal time, and every candidate controls 100% of their message. Our role is simple: to provide a fair and respectful forum where voters, not the League, evaluates the candidates and their positions. We believe this openness strengthens confidence in our elections and in our representative government. When you came into the room, you were offered an index card. If you want to write down a question for these candidates, we will have the opportunity to ask maybe 2 or 3 audience questions. Raise your hand, and Deb Larson can pass out index cards. And we'll collect them midway through. Maggie will announce that for the audience questions. If you'd like to receive election updates, voter information, and future League event announcements, please add your name to our sign-up sheets at the entrance. You can also find unbiased candidate information through our print and digital voter guide and online on vote411.org. It's a national platform where you put in your address and your ballot will come up, and questions that these candidates have answered will appear on your ballot. It'll populate your ballot. We thank the candidates for being here and for participating in our democratic process. An informed electorate is the foundation of a strong community, and your presence tonight reflects your commitment to our county and our democracy. Thank you. And now, please welcome Maggie Miller, who will begin tonight's forum.
Thanks. Hi. As Michelle mentioned, I am Maggie Miller, and I'm a local attorney. I work for the state of Wyoming as a contract attorney representing abused and neglected kids throughout Fremont County and Sublette County. I'm also the parent of 2 Wyoming-raised daughters, both of whom have the good fortune to be currently enrolled in the WWAMI program, the medical program. That's a cooperation between the state of Wyoming and the University of Washington. The younger one just finished a stint as a wrangler, leading pack horses all by herself deep into the mountains for Knowles. So we're pretty much a Wyoming family and invested in what you have to say here tonight. I'm honored to be a moderator of the League of Women Voters forums. I'm not a member of the league, but I believe in the purpose. This is an opportunity for us to learn from them how they would guide our community. I don't know any of them, but we're thrilled that you're here, and we're thrilled to hear what your positions are on things. This is the first forum for the county sheriff, and of the candidates, only 2 are going to progress to the next election. We want to welcome Ross Giles, Mike Hutchison, and Eric Murphy. Sadly, John Zerga cannot be here. We received a message via email and cell that he had an unexpected personal matter requiring his immediate attention. He sends his regrets. I can say he's a pretty nice guy. I only know this because he followed my dog home after he watched my dog steal a turkey across the highway. I'm glad it wasn't a show turkey, since I said I'd pay for it. Here's the details for this evening's forum. First, we're going to allow each of you the opportunity to make a 2-minute opening statement addressing the experience or skills that you have that will assist you in representing our county. And then we're going to follow up with about 8 to 10 questions. It's kind of like speed dating, political style. You get 1 minute. Jackie kindly is going to hold up her placard, 15 seconds, and then orange, and then we'll just cut you off rudely or politely or however. Then there will be a section for audience questions. And as you heard, there's index cards. We will stop partway through, and those will also only be allowed 1 minute, and then another minute for closing statements at the end. We're confident that you're going to hear things you agree with and maybe some things you disagree with. We'd appreciate it if you held your reactions at a minimum and definitely don't clap, so that we can give them as much time and get through as many questions as possible. I don't know any of you, so I guess we can just start with first you, Eric Murphy. Why don't you do an opening?
We're very proud of them. So I started my police career. I was a police officer for 26 years. I started my police career down in Dallas, Texas. I was a police officer there for 3.5 years. I moved up here to Riverton, and I was with Riverton Police Department for 23 years. I was a patrolman, a detective, a school resource officer, detective sergeant, a captain, and then finally ended up as the chief of police, where I served for 6 years as the chief. I went to the FBI National Academy in Quantico when I was a captain, which was an amazing experience. I have 15 years of military experience. I was in the Air Force when I was 18 till I was 22. And then for some reason, I got a little crazy and joined the Army National Guard when I was 37 and ended up going back to basic training at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri when I was 40 years old. So I've been to basic training twice. Okay, so let me get into my little thing here so I don't get off track. Okay, why am I running for sheriff? So my wife works at the sale barn. She has contact with several farmers and ranchers, and as well as I do, and we've had several people ask if I would run for sheriff. So I thought about it for a while, and I've decided to go ahead and run, so here I am. One of the biggest things that I feel like we need from a sheriff is to be a little bit more proactive and a little bit more aggressive leadership. And so that's what I hope I would bring to the table is a very much more proactive approach. I want to start a citizens advisory board. I want the sheriff's department to be 24 hours patrol. I want to downsize the administration so that we can hire more patrol officers. Thank you.
I failed to mention that it would be really nice if everybody could silence their cell phones if they've not done so already. And for the candidates, if you could each mute when it's not your turn, and we can see. There we go. All right, Mike.
Is that on? All right. So my name is Mike Hutchison. I've been a Fremont County Sheriff's Office deputy for the last 19 years. In my time at the Sheriff's Office, I served as a patrol deputy, as a patrol sergeant, as a detective sergeant, and for the last 7.5 years, I've been the Fremont County Undersheriff. In my time as the Undersheriff, I manage the day-to-day operations of basically the entire agency, from the communication center to the jail, to search and rescue operations, as well as our patrol operations. I'm a lifelong Fremont County resident. I was born and raised here. I've been married to my wonderful wife, Sarah, for 24 years. We've raised 2 great kids. My son, Declan, is currently serving in the United States Air Force. And our son, our daughter, Moya, I'm going to hear about that later. Our daughter, Moya, is going to be a junior at the Riverton High School. So, like I said, throughout my time at the Sheriff's Office, I've seen different aspects of law enforcement, as well as all the different aspects that are the Sheriff's Office, to include the detention center, the communications center, the patrol division, and managed search and rescue operations. So I have a really good understanding of how it works and what does work and what doesn't work, and what can be improved upon. I feel like I have the experience and the qualities to make a good sheriff, and I would humbly ask for your vote.
Hi, my name's Ross Giles. I'm the new guy nobody heard of until this race, I guess. Born and raised here in Fremont County my whole life. I lived in Fort Washakie, K through 8th. Moved in with my grandparents on their ranch through high school. Graduated Wind River 2000. Just been a member of this community my whole life. I've pipelined. I've done a lot of oil field work around here. Actually been supervisor for several companies, foreman for more than I'd like to count. So I do have some experience in delegating work and getting things going, and I think that's actually a pretty big thing. It's knowing how to deal with people and get everybody to work together, and I do have a lot of experience there. The law enforcement, I don't have any, and I think that's kind of a good thing. I think that's something that Fremont County might benefit from, in my opinion. That was the whole thing of starting this. I've got some ideas I would like to push if I become sheriff, and it would be just more of a getting in touch with the community more. I don't think that there's enough of that going on. Just the relationship between the community and the sheriff's office, and even the Riverton RPD, just law enforcement in general in this county has kind of went downhill in the last 20, 25 years, in my opinion, and I'd like to see that get back to where it used to be, where you'd run into a sheriff and you'd stop and talk to them for half an hour, just see what was going on. They're just in touch with their community, and I like that. There's a few more things that are happening in the community that I think are taking us in the wrong direction. I'd like to address those if elected sheriff, and that would fall under just the drug problem that we have that's in the county, and it's here. It's so, but yeah.
You can leave your mic on, because your opening kind of led into this first question. What are 2 of the most important public safety issues in Fremont County, and how would you address them as sheriff?
Okay, I think actually that's 1 minute, right?
Yes, 1 minute.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Jackie's helping me.
Sorry, I'm nervous. But I think actually, drugs moving into here is a big thing, and we can see it in the community. Just when you drive down the street, you see it. I live on the reservation. I see it out there all the time. So I think that is a huge problem here. I think we're getting into some other problems that didn't ever think you'd see here, like trafficking's coming through. There's a lot of cartel coming through. And then I think the public relations with Fremont County's the sheriff's office, like leaning on communities. I've had several calls over the last couple of weeks of, we just don't call because we don't think anything's going to happen to it, and I'd like to change that. So that's.
When we look at the crime in Fremont County, most crime boils down to 2 things. It's substance abuse and mental health problems. So those are the 2 biggest problems facing Fremont County and Fremont County law enforcement right now. We've recently acquired 2 canine narcotics detection dogs. We are moving towards a more proactive patrol and interdiction stance when it comes to stopping drugs before they ever get to the street level. And Fremont County as a whole needs to address the mental health problem. There just aren't enough resources. Deputies are forced to deal with people in mental health crisis on a day-to-day basis. And substance abuse and mental health problems usually go hand in hand. You usually don't see one without the other.
Eric, what would you say?
So I would agree with both of them. I think drugs is a huge problem here. Fentanyl and methamphetamine are a really big problem that we need to address. I'm glad that they got the drug dogs because I think that'll make a huge difference. The one thing that I want to focus on, though, is community involvement. I feel like if you, as the community, elect a sheriff, you have a right to say what happens. So I want to create a citizens advisory board where we'd meet once a month, and I would meet with citizens of the county, people from Shoshone, Riverton, Lander, Du Bois, Jeffrey City, and hear their problems and see what we can do for them, and really have a down-to-earth conversation with them and have them come up with solutions too, and listen to them and try to deal with some of these issues that they're having.
So from here on out, I want to listen to, and so I'm asking you questions and you're directing your responses to me. I would encourage you to look that way. Otherwise, I have to look down to try to not get you to look at me. So Mike, why don't you start us off with your minute on what practices or operations in the sheriff's office would you prioritize changing?
Eric said more community involvement. I think the heart of our issue, again, it goes back to those 2 problems I mentioned before, substance abuse and mental health problems, and we need to find aggressive ways to address that and solutions to help people with those problems.
Ross, what do you think?
Well, the procedures and stuff, I think everybody's kind of touching on the same well, kind of. Like I say, my operations procedures is involving the community a lot more. Like how Eric says with the Citizens Advisory Board. Thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea, and I think that's even other than that, just listening to people when they talk to you, because I've heard some complaints of nobody's listened to me when I've come forward and had about problems I've been having in my neighborhood or my community, and nothing was done about it. And that's so procedures be following up a lot more on community complaints, because who knows better what's happening in your neighborhood than you. So that's one thing I'd be wanting to ramp up on, and yeah, and just follow through with that.
Eric, anything you'd change?
Yes, so I'm with Mike. I think that we need more patrol officers. So one of my big things is, and I'm not sure how we would do it yet, I will have to wait until see if I get elected, but I want to downsize the administration. I don't think it does any good to have a bunch of people at the sheriff's department sitting around when you can use that money to have patrol salaries. So that is one of my biggest things, is getting patrolmen out there, getting these calls handled that need to be handled. So I think that's the number one thing, is that.
So you can keep your mic on. The last question focused on prioritizing a change. What about, are there any practices or operations in the sheriff's office that you would seek to maintain or build upon?
So just the community involvement, I think that's huge. I think community involvement, especially when you're an elected official like the sheriff is, I think you have to keep the community involved and really listen to them, and, sorry, I'm looking at you, and really, and really, take what they say to heart and make some changes for the community. I mean, we're supposed to be here for the community, especially as an elected official, in law enforcement, you need to be doing what the community needs you to be doing. So I think that's the number one thing, is to get out there and have these meetings and listen to the community and do what they're asking. And of course, everybody knows you can't do everything, right? So you need to really prioritize those and get with the community and just listen to them. Thank you.
Mike?
Some of the programs that I would want to maintain are employee support programs. Any organization is only as good as its members or its employees, and I think that taking care of our employees is incredibly important. Making sure that it's a positive atmosphere, retaining good employees instead of losing good employees to other agencies and being a training ground for other agencies. So prioritizing, some of the things that we've already done to improve the employees' experience, because a better deputy is going to make a better public servant to all of you. So helping our deputies have a good atmosphere to work in, retention and recruitment programs, and then again, just moving forward with things that we've started, finishing projects that we've started.
Ross?
I think on that deal, I'm not familiar with all the stuff that goes on inside the sheriff's department, just because I'm not a sheriff. But I think one thing I'd do is same thing. You got to take care of good people. If you got good officers working for you, you got to keep them around. That's just good employee makes good business. On the other deal, the procedures, I think I would lean a little bit more into a little more focused into the community-based like involvement with I don't know, maybe in a citizen advisor, like not just once a month, have somebody that's in the office full time that's dealing with just the community complaints and relaying it to the officers. I think that might be a new thing to install, and I think that'd be a good idea.
Mike, how about you start us off on mental health, detox, and competency issues? What is the sheriff's role when jail inmates need mental health treatment, detox services, or competency-related services? And what improvements would you make to how these issues are addressed? Softball question, right?
Yeah, the very first part of your question, could you repeat like the first sentence?
Sure. What is the sheriff's role when jail inmates need mental health treatment, detox services, or competency-related services?
Okay, so the sheriff's office does provide mental health help through Fremont Counseling and through contractors to provide mental health services to inmates in the jail. The root of the problem doesn't start in the jail, but when we see people in the jail, obviously we have to deal with those problems. I would like to see an expansion of that. Again, a lot of our problems go back to mental health and substance abuse, and those things go hand in hand. So if we can get to the root of the issue instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it, I think that helps the community as a whole. And helping people helping people that want to help themselves, giving them a way to find the help that they need, not only while they're incarcerated, but after they are released from incarceration.
Eric?
So Title 25 is what happens. That's the name of it when you take somebody into custody for mental health issues. That is a huge issue in Wyoming and specifically in Fremont County. So when I was the chief of police, we dealt with this literally every single day, and it's not an easy discussion to have. There's no easy solutions. I think we just need to kind of keep plugging forward and just find the best solution that we can until something else comes along. I don't even know what the right answer is. Just trying to keep people in the jail from committing suicide, I think, is a huge deal, and just really trying to get them the help that they need makes a huge difference.
Ross?
Inside the jail, like I say, I don't have much experience in this, but answer it the best way I think it should be answered. So in the jail, mental health, I'm sure they have suicide watch and all that stuff. And I don't know if there's counseling if they do that, because you're in jail. I'm sure there's something going on. I know you guys, there's medical treatment that goes on in the jail. There's nurses and all that stuff. But you go into the mental health part, that's a long-term problem. That's something they went in there with. it's probably something they're going to leave there with too. I don't know how much help any counseling in jail would have. It's a pretty frictional situation anyway. So I think just provide them what you can with your just medical and what, like I say, you're in jail. I don't think you're going to get good counseling in there. So just do what you can and keep plugging. That's a good question.
So Eric, here's another light topic.
Okay.
Describe your understanding of human trafficking in Fremont County, and how would you address this issue?
Yeah, so human trafficking is huge all over the place. Human trafficking is when an individual takes usually juveniles or females and transports them to another location for work and other things like that. I don't know how much we have it of in Fremont County. I know we dealt with it a few times when I was with Riverton Police Department. I think it's a huge issue. If it is happening in Fremont County, which I'm sure it is, we need to address that and take it as far as that we can. Here's the bad thing about human trafficking is you usually have to get the federal government involved in it, and I'm not a big fan of doing that. So we'd have to find a way to take care of some of those situations ourselves.
Ross?
Well, just like I say, I live on the reservation. A lot of my family's enrolled, and we've actually dealt with that out there. You got kids going missing all the time. Young girls. As a matter of fact, there's a couple I was just reading on Facebook before I came in here today. It's been missing for 2-3 weeks. Sex trafficking, I do not know if that's what happened to them, but it does happen here. And it's, they're taking these young girls, they're getting them on drugs, get them out here and taking them to whatever ill fate they have planned for them. So, like I say, that human trafficking, that goes back to just to cleaning up the community. I think when it comes to, I'm with you, I don't like federal stuff. I think we take care of a lot of stuff our own, but when it comes to that, crossing borders and stuff like that, I think we need to bring everybody we can in to help the youth and young girls and boys too. It's, like I say, it doesn't discriminate. It gets everybody, so.
Mike?
Statistically speaking, we don't see a lot of it here in comparison to other places. We're a little bit insulated as we're not on an interstate corridor. So as far as long distance human trafficking, we don't see a lot of that. That's not to say it doesn't happen. As Ross mentioned, young girls being put into compromising situations, lured into situations with drugs and alcohol, and being, whether they're abducted or somewhat by choice decide to enter a lifestyle that they're coerced into, and usually with being supplied with drugs or alcohol. Like I said, we don't see a lot of it here, but we do see it, and it's a major issue. We don't see it a lot, but it's a very, very important issue when it does happen, and it needs to be addressed aggressively.
If the audience could hand the questions to the volunteers who are going to circulate. Let's go back to Mike. This follows on the last question. Do you think the working relationships between different agencies and organizations in Fremont County function effectively to address missing and murdered Indigenous people? As sheriff, how would you continue to maintain or strengthen these relationships and their effectiveness?
Yes, currently we have good working relationships with every law enforcement entity around Fremont County. From the locals to the federal agencies. We have and for quite some time I've had a very good working relationship with them. In terms of the missing and murdered situation, the missing and murdered task force, which was put together by the Department of Justice through BIA, and is headquartered out of Billings, I believe. We've worked with them on several different cases recently. We share any information that we have. Our investigators meet regularly to discuss open cases that they have, to share insight, to share any evidence or information that we do have. So I think we do have a working relationship, and it's imperative to keep a good working relationship and keep those lines of communication open between investigative agencies.
Eric, what do you think?
I think so too. So when I was the chief, we would meet with all of the agencies in Fremont County, and we had a really, really good working relationship with them. I've been retired for a couple years, but I have no doubt that it's exactly the same as when I retired. But it is very important that we do keep those lines of communication open and meet once a month and talk about different things, because, you have BIA, you have the Sheriff's Department, you have Lander PD, you have Riverton PD, Shoshone Police Department. I mean, this county is the size of New Hampshire, and so it takes a lot to make sure that everybody's on the same page and doing that job. And I feel like Fremont County does a really good job with that. Every department, every chief and the sheriff and everybody does a really good job with that.
What do you think, Russ?
Like I say, I'm not law enforcement, but if there is a good relation, which it seems like, just from what I've heard, just talking with people, I think, yeah, you'd have to keep building on that and make sure it keeps getting stronger and stronger with everybody working together for that reason. It just, more eyes on the scene, the more people you have looking, the more stuff you find. And it's, I just make sure that just that co-working together, make sure that stays strong, and that as long as you keep it going good, I think you're in good shape on that aspect of it.
So you can leave your mic on. This is a pretty technical question, but a really important one. What would you do as sheriff to ensure evidence collection, case documentation, and follow-up on investigative leads are completed accurately, consistently, and in a timely manner to support prosecution and court proceedings?
Okay, that's a good one. So everything done in investigation, there's civil rights that everybody has, and we touched on this on the last one. Sometimes we got to kind of, bend that rule. I don't know if them rules are put there to be bent. They're there for a reason. And then with your detective work stuff, you got to have faith in the people that's doing the work that are working for you. If they're doing a good job, that's great. Keep them on. If there's anything that's slipping through the cracks, that's something you're going to have to handle, keep an eye on, and if somebody's not doing their job correctly or lawfully, then you're going to have to take action on that. So I would say, as long as you're doing everything by the book and just following the law, because the laws too. So I think if you're doing that, you're going to be all right. So,
Eric, what do you say?
So I was a detective for 7 years. Then I was a captain over the detectives, and like I said, then I was the chief. So I have a lot of experience in this. That is one thing that I will tell you, if I do make sheriff, the evidence room and the way the detectives are doing their work will be by the book. Because if you go to court on something, if one little thing is messed up, it throws the whole court case out. So you have to make sure that the evidence collected, the way it's collected, who collects it, and then the whole process after that through court is absolutely 100% valid. And if that doesn't happen, then you start losing court cases. So it's absolutely imperative that those things are done by the book and the correct way. And so that's one thing that will be done right if I make sheriff.
Could you repeat the question for me? There was a couple things in there that I wanted
Sure.
to make sure I had right.
What would you do as sheriff to ensure evidence collection, case documentation, and follow-up on investigative leads are completed accurately, consistently, and in a timely manner to support prosecution in court proceedings?
Thank you. So as part of our policy on the way that investigations are conducted, that is outlined in policy. Many of those things are outlined in policy. A lot of times things are a case-by-case basis, and you have to do what you can with what you have. Ensuring that all of our deputies as well as our investigators are trained to current best practices and following the legal standards that we must. I also spent several years as a detective and a detective sergeant, so I know firsthand how important preparing an effective work product at the end of an investigation is. And as a matter of policy, our deputies and investigators would be held to a standard.
Did I already ask you that question? Yes. And I started with you? Yes. Okay, well then you can start us off.
Okay.
On staffing. What do you believe are the biggest factors contributing to morale and turnover in the sheriff's office? How would you improve recruitment and retention as sheriff?
So I'm going to tell you guys, it is happening nationwide right now. Staffing is an issue for every police department, every sheriff's department across the nation. But what I would do specifically here is, if I'm a sheriff, I'm going to meet with everybody, the whole department, at least once a month, talk to them, and even a detention officer who's there the first week, I'm going to call them in, find out how things are going. I feel like it's really important that the sheriff talks to these people and asks them how they're feeling, get their comments on stuff, get their feelings on things, and make sure they're happy at work. And I don't feel like that's happening right now. So that would be my biggest thing with keeping retention, is to actually get with the detention officers and the officers and talk to them and find out what's going on with them, why they're not staying, and see if we can figure that out and get them to stay working for the Fremont County Sheriff's Department.
Mike?
Yeah, historically, the sheriff's office has been really fortunate. We've had a lot of employees that stay for their entire career and end up retiring from law enforcement from the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office historically has been a very good place to work. As Eric mentioned, nationwide, there's been a decline in the interest of younger people wanting to pursue a career in law enforcement. So recruitment as well as retention are incredibly important things. I think things are getting better. I had mentioned earlier, following COVID and some of the defund the police movement, we were insulated from it here in Fremont County. We didn't see it like other places did, but there was a ripple effect, and there was a general feeling, I think, between the younger generation that law enforcement wasn't quite as appealing as it used to be. I think we're getting past that now, and things are starting to turn around. Our staffing is starting to return. We're getting back up to full staff. Pay is always an issue, and we do the best we can with what we have to work with. We're always being asked to do more with less, but
Ross?
I'd like to say, with the internal workings of the Fremont County Sheriff's Department, I don't have much experience with it, but just from being in the community, I've seen a lot of people who have stayed there a long time. And that tells me that it's a good place to work. If it's not, people leave. That goes back to, like Eric said, you gotta know the people you're working with and what their problems are. Because if somebody's not happy with this, that's something you need to know. Like the pay, I think the pay just got a pay bump, didn't they, if I'm correct on that? So that helps out, and pay raise never hurts anybody. So, but with that, like I say, Fremont County Sheriff's Department does seem like it has a good record on how they treat their people, and that's a good thing. I like seeing that. So, on that deal, just know what's going on in your department and as sheriff, and I think you'll be all right if you take care of problems when they come to you and not try to ignore them. So.
Okay, Mike. In other states, Native American citizens have been incorrectly identified as undocumented immigrants and detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Fremont County's population is 20% Native. In work related to immigration detention and other sheriff's activities, how would you ensure that our Native population is not detained or racially profiled?
as a matter of course, you have to identify who you're dealing with, and you can't jump to conclusions. So from internally in our agency, that would never happen unless someone just absolutely refused to speak, and someone may be detained until their identity could be verified. But in terms of, we haven't signed up to the agreement with ICE to do limited immigration detainers. We will hold federal prisoners short-term in our jail, but we're not doing the job of ICE. Not to say that we won't work with ICE and work in those kinds of investigations, but as a matter of course, you know, if someone absolutely refuses to identify themselves, they may be detained, but they would be identified before anything further went beyond that.
Ross?
Well, just growing up on the reservation, living on the reservation, half my family lives out there. It's around here. I think it's not quite the big reach it is in some other places to realize what a person's nationality is. Of course, in the same aspect, everybody's got a driver's license, everybody has tribal IDs, or some sort of ID. I think, I don't think it's that big of a problem. I've heard some people have issues about it, but it's didn't seem like it was the problem that you have in like the bigger cities where you have thousands of people with the. I know there's a lot of Native Americans here, but I like to say they all have driver's licenses and photo IDs, so I don't think it's be that big of an issue. It could be, but I don't think it would be. So,
Eric?
So I agree. You typically, and I'm not saying it would never happen, but typically if ICE comes into the Fremont County, they're going to contact the sheriff or the undersheriff or the chief of police that they're going to be working, and you can have a conversation with them. So we have a computer system called Spillman, and they would come in and say, hey, do you guys have an address on this person? Well, it would be pretty easy for dispatch or the chief or whoever working with them to say, hey, just so you guys know, that is not a Hispanic person, it's a Native American person. I mean, that would be very easy to do that. So I've never had an issue with ICE while I was working in Fremont County. I'm not going to say it would never happen, but I agree with these guys. Like, it just doesn't happen that often, and I don't see that ever being a problem here.
Okay, keep your mic on. Almost all local law enforcement agencies employ body-worn cameras, dash cameras, digital evidence systems, and/or other technology to assist with officer safety, investigations, transparency, and prosecution. What is your position on the Fremont County Sheriff's Office's current use of technology in the patrol division, and what specific changes, if any, would you pursue?
So I'm going to tell you guys, when I was with Riverton PD, I was a captain when we got body cameras, and I was not a fan for about the first couple weeks. But I handled all of our complaints, and I can tell you that 99.9% of our officer complaints were absolutely gone when I would show them camera footage. So I think it's absolutely imperative for police officers to have cameras. I've talked to some sheriff's deputies who still do not have cameras. So that would be one of the first things, that's a huge priority for me, is to get the sheriff's department body cameras and make a policy to make sure that every one of them, if they're on duty, they have that camera on while they're dealing with a person. Make sure they have that body camera on. So I'm a huge fan of them, and that would be one of the very first things that I would do, is make sure that every patrol deputy has a body camera.
Mike?
So the sheriff's office currently has vehicle-mounted cameras, dash cams, if you will, and has had for many years. We've had a handful of body cams that we've issued throughout the years, with limited success in battery life and usability. So within the last year, we've been moving towards upgrading all of our camera systems and all of our digital evidence collection systems. So we don't have them yet. We have written a grant. We are trying to get body cams and all new vehicle cameras that sync together. And yeah, there would be a policy in place that they would be used by everybody. And it's a great tool, just like Eric said. I mean, not only to protect the citizen, but to protect the officers as well.
Ross and Michelle, can I have those?
Yeah, I totally agree with the body camera deal, because that covers the officer, that covers the citizen. So if the officer's done wrong, it shows. If the citizen's done wrong, that shows. Like I say, I'm just complete fan of that idea. I think actually on top of that, though, I think what I would try to do is install more of a private citizen oversight on the body cam footage. That way, there's a little more openness to the community, a little more transparency between the department and the community. And they say, well, what happened on body camera? We have our own independent oversight on this. It's community oversight. And yeah, like I say, I'm for that. I think the other day we come up with, AI was writing police reports, and just to the AI part, I don't agree with that part, but the body camera and stuff, yeah.
All right, these sort of follow up on some of these other questions we've had. For some reason, this says Eric at the top, so I guess it starts with Eric. How would you deal with human trafficking if you do not get the feds involved?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know how you would deal with human trafficking if you didn't. I would say that if it's just happening in Fremont County, there would be no reason to get them involved. But like Ross said, if they're going over state lines, then you absolutely have to get them involved. I'm just not a huge fan of the federal government, and I think that Fremont County is a lot better off the more we can keep them out here. And so if they're being transported across state lines, you have to contact the federal government. But if they're staying in Fremont County, then I feel like we could deal with that ourselves and not get the federal government involved.
Okay, Ross, you're next. You guys aren't off the hook just because it said Eric.
I think on that deal, yeah, like I said, if you get them traveling across several states or counties or anything, you know, that's you got to work with the other entities that are involved there. But I think a lot of that with human trafficking comes with the kind of stuff you have going on in your community. That comes to getting your drug dealers, your fentanyl dealers, have just a kind of a better quality of community, and that stuff doesn't. It's there, but it's not as prominent when you have that. So I think that would be to focus on one thing to have a cure for the other thing. So yeah, if a guy cleans up his community, or sheriff, law enforcement, all together, yeah, clean up your community, and you have not that element that's into the human trafficking isn't here as much. So,
Mike.
Yeah, the first thing that would have to be established is the jurisdictional authority. So based on any case, you know, the circumstances at hand are going to dictate how something is handled. So you can have human trafficking, you can have sex trafficking without crossing state lines. You can have, you know, for example, young women provided with drugs and alcohol and doped up and taken, you know, a very short distance, and that's still trafficking. I think when we think of it, generally we think about trafficking across state lines or over great distances, and in those cases, obviously, you know, the jurisdictional matrix of who are they, where did they come from, where are they going, how far have they gone, where have they come from? I mean, there's a whole lot of things that go into that. So in a lot of cases, anyone that's come over a great distance or crossed any jurisdictional boundaries, the FBI is going to have to be brought in on that. If it's something that simply was an occurrence of trafficking but occurred, you know, in Fremont County and could be handled by state law, then you can handle it under state law.
Keep your mic on.
Okay.
How do you propose to embrace technology such as body cameras, but not violate our personal rights, especially with flock cameras and license plate readers?
Yeah, so currently the Fremont County Sheriff's Office doesn't operate any flock cameras or license plate readers. Other agencies around the county are starting to employ license plate readers. Specifically to body cams, I think society in general has accepted body cameras and that their interactions with police are going to be captured. A lot of people are filming themselves with their cell phone, so it's, you have recording going both ways. So I don't see that as a huge problem. I think people are accepting that their actions and their interactions with police are going to be recorded either by body cam or by someone with a cell phone. So I don't see that as a big issue. License plate readers, flock cameras, surveillance. I don't think that the American public is ready to be Great Britain yet and have a camera on every corner. They can be tremendously useful in an investigation, but are we ready to sacrifice that liberty for the security of having everything we do recorded? I don't think we're there yet.
Ross, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Mike on the flock cameras and stuff like that. Just being able to trace, just be able to track your a person traveling. I don't agree with that at all. I think that's a scary idea right there. With the body cameras and stuff, I'm in agreement with that. That protects, like the filming. It protects both people in that situation. Like I said, there's a lot of social media, a lot of people posting selfies and all that stuff now. I'm not quite into that, but But there are some laws, and I'm not brushed up on those, where there is some recording laws out there, and I'm just not brushed up on it to get into it. But flock cameras, no. License plate readers, no. Body cameras, I support. So,
Eric?
So license plate readers, I'm 50-50 on that one because you don't have any privacy issues with that because it's out in public. I don't know that I would agree with getting license plate readers. I think that I would have to do a little bit more research and find out what the advantages are. I don't really see any advantages to having them in Fremont County. So I'm going to tell you that I would probably be against it if somebody just came and asked me about it like you did tonight. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of them, but I don't know that it really creates any issues as far as anybody's privacy or anything like that either. I'm kind of 50-50 on that one.
Okay, keep your mic on.
Okay.
We'll do one more question and then go on to closing statements.
Okay.
So this has to do with the jail. How should the sheriff coordinate with local law enforcement, law courts, prosecutors, probation, treatment providers, to reduce unnecessary jail pressure while still protecting public safety?
So what do you mean by jail pressure? Like, what do you mean by that?
I believe the question was directed at the length of stay and the population in the jail, how long people are there.
Okay. So I'm going to address this a little bit differently because I actually have this written down. One of my biggest plans for the jail inmates is to do a work program where they get out on the streets and do like a chain gang type of thing. And I know that's not very popular, but if we can deter people from going to jail in the first place by getting them today. It was 105 degrees out, and I was outside working my butt off. So why should an inmate be allowed to just sit in the jail and watch TV? I think that if you can get them on a chain gang and get them outside and working, then they won't be in jail. So a lot of these issues you don't have to worry about. It is my opinion on that. So that's my biggest thing, is to get a chain gang for the people in jail.
Mike?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yeah. How should the sheriff coordinate with local law enforcement, law courts, prosecutors, probation, treatment providers to reduce unnecessary jail pressure while still protecting public safety?
There are some ways to work with the judiciary and the prosecutors when it comes to sentences, split sentences, other diversionary tactics. We had a huge problem several years ago. In about 2020, our daily population was averaging over 200 inmates in a jail that has 145 beds. We had cots all over the floor. We had people in rec rooms. We were tremendously overcrowded. We added beds. We added bunks. We did some remodeling. We got our capacity up to where we could meet that. And now, through some of those things, we've been able to lower, our average daily population. We're running about 130 to 150, so we're well within what we can handle effectively in our detention center. So there are things that can be done when they need to be done. Right now, we're sitting in a pretty good place.
Okay. Ross?
Yeah, on that matter, I think, like I say, I didn't know the numbers of who was in, how many guys they had in jail. It's a lot of people not a lot of people per county. But anyway, I think if you worked with your judges and your prosecutors, and a lot of these offenses that they're getting thrown aren't thrown back into jail for, I don't think they need to be going back to jail. I think it could be an extended probationary period. Like I've seen this a lot, or heard about it a lot. A lot of people are like, yeah, probation got pulled for doing this, and then I got to go back to jail for 3 months, whatever it is. I think if you're, depending on what your crime was, maybe not quite jail is the place for a lot of these people. I don't mind that chain gang idea. That driving up down the highway, that'd be kind of nice to see them cleaned up. But I think a person would have to look with the judges and prosecutors and be like, a lot of these people deserve to be in jail. And surely some of them do, but.
Okay, why don't you keep your mic on and you can go first for your 1 minute closing.
Okay. Well, so anyway, like I said, my name is Rob Giles. born and raised here. I think I would bring a fresh outlook on Fremont County Sheriff's Department. I know I get up here and I kind of stutter. I'm not used to crowds. So second time I've done it and still doesn't get any better. But yeah, I think just a fresh outlook on Fremont County Sheriff's Department and the relationship with the community. I think that's a big factor in what's going on here. I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, yeah, you don't even, like, we know our sheriffs, but we don't know them. Like, it used to be a sheriff would drive by your place and he'd stop by and see how you're doing. BS you for half an hour and on to the next place, just kind of in the community being, I'd like to get back to that. I'd kind of like to take law enforcement back about 25, 30 years. The relationship with community, I know it would be a hard deal with all the new things that we're dealing with, but I think it can be done, and I would sure like to give it a try. So yeah, like I said, just a local guy. I see our local problems from looking in, so.
Mike.
First of all, thank you to the organizers of this event, to all of you that put in a bunch of time and hard work to put this together and to reach out to us and contact us and organize this. Thank you for putting this together. As I mentioned in my opening, I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 19 years, a lot of hard work. I'm proud of the agency that we've built. 19 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and I want to see a Sheriff's Office that this community can be proud of. In addition to my law enforcement career, I've been a volunteer firefighter with the Riverton Fire Department for 22 years, and so I've dedicated a lot of my adult life to community service, and that's where my base personality is serving other people, and I want to be able to continue to do that, and I would be honored to serve as the next Fremont County Sheriff.
I want to also thank everybody. This is a big deal for us, and I appreciate everybody coming and listening to us. The biggest thing that I want to talk about is the Amy Bechtel case. I feel like that case has been open way too long. I feel like if I get elected to sheriff, we need to really focus on that case and get that case done. I feel like it's just been out there way too long. So we need to really focus on that and get some closure to that case. So that would be one of my biggest things if elected to sheriff, is really working on that case, getting the detectives to work on it and get that thing closed and get some closure for the family. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us. I know that you aren't professional politicians, and this isn't necessarily your comfort zone, but really, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I've learned a ton. So to the audience, I want to say a few things. One is the way that we choose questions is we want questions that all candidates can answer. So questions need to be directed to all the candidates that are up here. And then also there are questions that aren't so redundant or they have something new to be added. That's how we chose those questions. And we'd love to invite you to go get why we change up for the next forum, which is the county commissioner race forum. There's juice and water and cookies and things like that. And the Library Association brought those cookies over, all homemade, so please enjoy yourself. And we're going to convene, I would say definitely by 10 after. We're going to be starting again. Bathroom down the hall on the right. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate it.
That 2 minutes at the outset. What? Oh, actually, so Title 25 is what we mentioned. That's the law. It allows the state of Wyoming to detain somebody against their will for up to 72 hours before they have to go before a judge. And it's typically because they have suicidal ideation or they've actually tried. But occasionally it's because they're like homicide. They're violent. This particular person apparently got somebody in a chokehold. Hi. Excuse me. How are you? Good.
Susan gets her my niece and
Life's short, enjoy it.
That's right. How are you?
She looks so much like Jackie Nelson. Look over there in the middle, where I'm pointing roughly.
Yes.
Amazingly.
When she walked in.
I looked. It's like, Jackie. And that's like, no, that's not Jackie. I'm finding these chairs are quite comfortable when you sit on them sideways.
It's a nice venue, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was on the Ford Foundation board here.
Is he married to?
Yes, he is.
That's why I recognize him. 4, 4, 4. So 2 of them.
Good evening.
Surprising, I told the guy next to me, you can tell they're not professional politicians because as soon as you put this up, they stop.
I know. That's the truth. I did notice that. They're stopping faster than any group.
They're just stopping at 15 minutes. They're really freaking out.
It's because they don't know what to say.
Yeah. It's good to tell them the yellow is 15 minutes and then there's a time off. Like you still have 15 more seconds.
Yeah, I can emphasize that.
Yeah, if you want. But I think the questions are great. Again, the questions are great.
And it reveals who knows nothing and who knows something.
I know, right.
So they are useful, even if they're not.
What were you writing on that piece of paper? On something?
Oh, I said working on
On facial.
expression control. It's like, holy shit. I stay totally neutral. I'm not good at that.
Right, I know. Me neither. But it's in medicine you learn it.
Oh, it's recording.
Thank you for that. Superpower, right? So everybody that's in the outside, if you want to come in, you can come in anytime. Welcome to the new audience members who've just joined us for the Fremont County Commissioner Forum. I'm going to limit my opening remarks, however, I do want to review a few things. I am Michelle Escudero, the chair of the Fremont County League's Education and Outreach Committee. During the primary election season, we're hosting 11 candidate forums across the county in Lander, Riverton, and Shoshone. I want to thank our partners who help make these forums and the election education outreach possible. County 10 for hosting the live stream. We always get lots of people online watching these and even afterwards clicking the video, like thousands of people. And WYO Today for printing and publishing our voter guide, hot off the press. It's going in the mail on Saturday. And we thank our county clerk, Julie Fries, and her staff for their exceptional work in running our election process and registering voters. Tonight's live stream will be available tomorrow. Please share it on County 10's website, YouTube, Facebook, and the League's website, lwv10.org. We want to thank Central Wyoming College for hosting us tonight and our volunteers who've contributed hundreds of hours putting on these forums. It's a lot of work. The League's mission is simple: to empower voters through education and to encourage informed participation in our democracy. The League does not support or oppose political parties or candidates. Instead, the League provides unbiased voter information and creates opportunities like this forum tonight for voters to hear directly from candidates and make their own decision. Please sign up for our listserv at the desk here by the entrance table to receive the League's information. We thank the candidates for running for office. This is a commitment of your time, your energy, and your emotional and mental fortitude. Thank you. And now please welcome our moderator, Maggie Miller, who will begin the County Commissioner Forum.
I don't know what happened to the last mic. I am indeed Maggie Miller, and I'm a local attorney. I work covering Fremont County and Civic County, representing abused, neglected kids for the state of Wyoming. So I know some of these people. I think your wife's a realtor I met. Okay. There's a lot of people who aren't here because they couldn't be here. It's a complicated race, so I'm just going to read this. For District 1, current Commissioner Clarence Thomas is present, while his opponent, David Mossberg, is unavailable as he is attending his daughter's dance competition out of state. David Mossberg assured the League that he would attend the forum if he were in town and sent his regrets. For District 3, we've got Ryan Preston and Chanel Stanley, but Ron Fabricius is not here, correct? No. For District 4, we've got J.D. Carper, Steph Kessler, and Jeff Young, but Christy Hirasawa Gable and Jim Taylor were unavailable. The way the forum's going to work is you are each going to be allowed to give a 2-minute opening statement addressing the experience or skills that you have that will assist in representing citizens. And then, as we've been joking, the next part is like political speed dating. You're going to get 1 minute to answer questions that are huge, that you could probably talk about for an hour. Jackie kindly is going to hold up a paddle. It's yellow when you have 15 seconds left, and it's orange when you have to stop. And we could tell that the sheriff's candidates, they're not politicians. When they saw the 15-second, they stopped talking. And by the orange, any politician would keep talking. So at 15 seconds, keep talking. You have until the orange paddle goes up. We're going to alternate so nobody goes first all the time. And then there's going to be some audience questions. Volunteers are going to circulate at some point. I'll stop and ask them to circulate, and you can submit questions. And then they're going to go through and figure out which ones are the best hot button issues, or maybe the least redundant. and then another minute for your closing statements. So except for the first 2 minutes, it's all going to be 1 minute. And how about we start out of deference for a current commissioner? Let's start with Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas. Oh, thank you. My name is Clarence Thomas. I've been a county commissioner for District 1 for 10 years. And 10 years ago, came in as a, as a person who gave service in a sense. I've been in the Army, the U.S. Army with the 82nd Airborne with the long-range surveillance detachment. Spent my time in Panama, Honduras, El Salvador. I am a disabled veteran, and in that served my time there, and also came back and served my time as a law enforcement officer with the Federal Law Enforcement BIA here. My wife brought me up, my late wife, who died of cancer a couple years ago, and she brought me up. And in that, I was suffering PTSD, and she said, come to Wyoming, come to my home, and you won't have to deal with all the crowd, and I did. And in that, performed my service in this community ever since. And in that, as my wife used to say, when you started, you had hair. So to those who want to be a part of politics, it takes a toll on you, and there's a lot to it than just sitting and talking. And in that, there's a lot of hours spent, after hours, either dealing with what's happening, meeting with people, talking, collaborating, networking, but also thinking and crying and praying and dealing with the things that are out here. And it's very hard, because in that, it's not easy. And in that, I have served my 10 years, and in that, I was going to run against Mr. Case, but in that, not 80% of the departments wrote me letters and said, we'd like you to run again, and I was like, okay. But what happened was, I told my wife before she passed away that I wasn't, and I threw all my big signs away, and so I had to reorder signs, and these little bitty signs just don't work for me. But we still go, we still keep going, and in that, this community, this county, our people, I have served them, and I have spoke for them, and I have done all I can to do what is right in a sense of...
You're proving yourself an experienced politician because...
I've done all I can.
Okay, Ryan.
Ryan Preston, moved here 14 years ago. I'm the general manager of the Hampton Inn Suites. Pretty much from the day I moved here, I've been involved, whether it be the Riverton Chamber of Commerce, the Winter Chamber of Commerce. I've sat on the Winter Visitors Council Board of Directors and was board president for 4 years. And sit on the Wyoming Hospitality Travel Coalition Board of Directors. I sit on the Riverton Rendezvous Board of Directors, Leadership Fremont County Board of Directors. So for me, it's always been about being involved. How can I help? What can I do to better this community? And I was asked to run. Did a lot of Q&A research, tried to figure out why would I even want to do this? Why would I want to put myself through this? Asked a lot of questions. And at the end of the day, came to the conclusion that, between things that had happened, with the library, Ivy, the county coroner, has 3 different offices, but they bought a building, the old Bunk's Barbecue building, and have not put a dime into it. And then they went and bought the annex for the fairgrounds and basically dumped it on the fair board and said, here, go forth and make money. I don't agree with that. I think they could have taken the money that they dedicated to the annex. They could have put that money towards Erin Ivy to give her 1 office instead of 3 offices spanned out throughout Fremont County. Or they could have dedicated that funds to deal with the sheriff's office. From what I understand and to my knowledge, the sheriff's office do have computers in their vehicles, but they do not have the ability to track GPS. So I think there's a lot better use of funds throughout Fremont County, and I don't believe that the way that we are spending our funds is correct, and I don't think that we're spending it the way that we should be doing it.
Chanel.
I'm nervous. I'm just going to put that out there. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Chanel Stanley, and I'm running for County Commissioner because I believe our county deserves leadership that listens first, learns from the people it serves, and leads with integrity, common sense, and practical solutions. I was born and raised in Fremont County, and I'm proud to be a fourth-generation resident. This community has shaped who I am, and my decision to run for County Commission didn't happen overnight, and it certainly didn't come out of nowhere. Growing up, civic involvement and public service were important in my family. I was encouraged to stay informed, get involved, and understand how local government impacts our daily lives. That interest led me to attend Wyoming Girls State and compete in student congress in high school. Looking back, I can see those experiences planted the seed for the path that I'm on today. Service has always been important to me. I've served as a chamber ambassador and an election judge for more than 20 years and have volunteered alongside my husband, whom I've been married to for 35, on projects that helped strengthen our community. For more than 30 years, I have the privilege of working with students from all walks of life every day. I listened to their concerns, built relationships with them and with their families, and helped navigate difficult situations by bringing people together to find solutions. That experience taught me to listen first, stay solution-driven, and work collaboratively to solve problems, qualities I will bring to the County Commission. Looking back, I can see that I've been preparing for this opportunity my whole life. Now I'm asking for the chance to continue serving Fremont County in a new way. It would be an honor to earn your trust, your support, and your vote. Thank you.
Steph.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight, coming out, and thank you to the League for hosting this event. I'm Steph Kessler, and I'm running because I believe our county deserves experienced leadership that is focused on solving problems, not creating them. Every candidate will tell you they support good roads, public safety, fiscal responsibility, and strong communities. So do I. But the real question is, when difficult decisions come in the future, and they will, how will you lead? I've learned that good leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about listening carefully, gathering the facts, respecting different viewpoints, making tough decisions when necessary, and always keeping the public's interests first. Throughout my career, I've worked with local governments, businesses, agencies, and others to solve complicated problems. I've managed staff and budgets. I've served on the Lander School Board as a county commissioner, on state and federal advisory boards, and in legislative initiatives. Those experiences taught me how to build consensus, manage taxpayer resources responsibly, and deliver real results. The next few years won't be easy. Counties are facing tighter budgets, maybe more mandates, and a growing demand for services. Meeting those challenges will require more than good intentions. It will require experience, sound judgment, and a willingness to work hard and work with others. My priorities are straightforward. Manage taxpayer dollars responsibly, protect local control, maintain high-quality county services, and look for innovative solutions that strengthen our community. Our government must be transparent, accountable, and focused on serving people, not politics. I have years of experience making difficult decisions, building consensus, delivering results, and I'd be honored to put that experience to work for you.
Jeff.
So I felt weird because I didn't have a speech, because I shoot from the hip, you guys, and it always happens. And I just do whatever I want to. But I'm going to read to you guys something that I've spent the last 2 weeks putting together, which is not me. You guys need to just approach me, ask me what I do, how I got here, what I need to do to help you folks. So this hurts my heart to read this paragraph to you folks. I'm a registered professional engineer and have been for over 31 years. I was born in Riverton 58 years ago, and I'm currently a third-generation cattle rancher and a second-generation engineering graduate from the University of Wyoming. I've successfully managed, operated, and owned 4 businesses in Fremont County, 3 engineering firms, and currently a cattle ranch. I have served on numerous local boards, including the Lander Golf Course, LEDA, which she was a founding member on that board with me, and am a past president of the Lander Chamber of Commerce and the Lander Ambassadors. National and state boards include the American Society of Civil Engineers, student and state chapter president, Region 7 governor and treasurer, and a current, right now, I'm the advocacy captain. Advocacy is hard for me, you guys. Captain for the state of Wyoming. So I get to hear every single thing that's going to happen in the state of Wyoming from federal down. I'm the current president of the Wyoming Engineering and Surveying Society. I'm also the newest board member for the Wyoming Senior Golf Association. I'd rather play golf than anything. I'm running for county commissioner based on a request from past commissioners. I'm running for county commission based on elected officials, business owners, friends and families in Fremont County agriculture. My obligations are public safety,
Jeff,
support of local
if
businesses.
there's a lot more, you have to save it for your closing.
Oh, no. I got one more. My objective is public safety, support of local businesses, responsible government, responsible spending.
Thank you all. A couple housekeeping things I failed to mention earlier. What? Okay, Michelle just asked that you speak into your mics. I will ask that you turn your mic off when it's not your turn. And if you didn't turn your cell phone off in the audience, please do that. Don't applaud until the end, even if you hear something you really like. And I love listening to what you all have to say. And I look at everybody that I ever listen to, but talk to them, even though I'm looking at you. Look that way. First question goes to Jeff at this end. It's about priorities. Given the current scope of the county commission, what are 2 important areas that the commission should prioritize?
So I've spent more time in the last 2 weeks prioritizing ambulance service, WRTA, and our air service. So today I met with Kyle. I met with Tim today, and then I set up a meeting in between our ambulance service. But right now, you guys, I am really, really worried about our ambulance service, and I couldn't have been successful without having air service. And I also look at the library and I look at the fair board, because I'm running as an ag producer and a 3rd generation ag producer here in Fremont County. So those are the things that I'm going to prioritize myself with. But I'm also a civil engineer, and I have to make sure that public safety is number 1.
Steph.
Well, we have to prioritize what we are statutorily required to do under the Constitution and state law. But that's not enough. We have to continue to provide the services that we all are used to getting, and in fact, there's a greater demand for it. I then think that my prioritization would be to find ways with limited funding to improve efficiencies, help staff work smarter, create partnerships that can leverage funding and resources so we can continue those services, and find other ways to continue to do what we can on the budget that we have. My other priority is the ambulance funding, and I think that although not classified as an essential service, we need to treat it like that in Fremont County to ensure that we can support our community and make it strong.
I would agree with prioritizing the ambulance service as an essential service right now because who knows who's going to need it next. Current boards and see how the constituents want that to go.
Ryan?
I believe the 3/4 cent tax is a necessary evil, but I don't trust the people who have controlled it in the past. I sat on the Edge Committee, which controlled the half-cent tax, or was the recommending body for the city of Riverton. Well, I think Riverton controlled it best, and I think we did it best and the most transparent. Move and Lift, they both shut it down halfway through, revamped it, tried to change it, and then the year of the election, they tried to shut it down, redo the MOU. So I don't think you can do that, and I don't think it was very transparent. I don't think that anybody has been a good steward of taxpayer dollars. For me, I think when I look at the budget and when I look at what has been done, they bought, Bunk's Barbecue for several hundreds of thousands of dollars and have done nothing with it. They bought the annex, did nothing with it, and they're telling the fair board to go make money. How much money could have been dedicated to the sheriff's office to actually hire new patrol cars, put things in their police uniforms, or even buy the cameras?
Clarence?
One of the priorities, and we're working on it right now, is ambulance. But in that, the collaboration between municipalities, tribes, and the county, and we've been working on it also. And in that, trying to make sure the ambulance is going to carry on in a sense of service to all. And that's been one that's been worked on. It's going to be one that's going to be improved. The other is from a standpoint of knowing the county and knowing our issue of infrastructure, is developing, and I've been working on this with Ms. Freese, is back to improving and strengthening human resources. We have one person who works human resources, and so in that, developing a better human resource for all, not just governing boards, but for the rest of the departments would be a priority.
Okay, Steph, you're first up on revenue. What is your understanding of how the primary sources of revenue for Fremont County are currently performing? And do you propose any changes to sources of revenue for the county?
Well, today I just spent an hour and a half with our county treasurer, so I got quite a briefing on this. We have diverse sources of revenue. We're lucky compared to other counties. We have mineral tax revenue. We obviously have property tax revenue. And we get federal PILT funds and a number of other funds. So I think our priority should be to continue to do the due diligence we need to do to keep these fund sources coming in and explore new ones, like the countywide consensus program funding that the legislature is now thinking about, which would provide more funding to the county for infrastructure and maintenance as well. So I would say all of the above is what we need to do to ensure that we can do long-range planning and sustainability for our services and people.
Chanel?
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Sure. What is your understanding of how the primary sources of revenue for Fremont County are currently performing? Do you propose any changes to sources of revenue for the county?
I'll be honest, I don't have enough information to answer this question and do it any real justice.
Okay, that's a singularly non-political, honest response. Thank you. Ryan?
Kind of looking at how the budget actually works right now. I mean, currently there's $5.4 million in the Mineral Stabilization Fund. That money was actually distributed all at once instead of over the course of several years. And currently, the county commissioners are allocating funds every single year to offset any budget shortfalls or just give additional funds wherever it may be needed. But that money was supposed to come in over the course of several years. Currently, the way that the tax structure is wrote, the county commissioners, City of Riverton, Lander, Hudson, DuBois, Shoshone, they're all facing budget shortfalls. If the 50% tax cut that is presented within the legislature passes today, I can pretty much guarantee you that from a hospitality and hotel standpoint, we're going to go bankrupt. Youth sports is going to disappear. We're not going to have money. Currently, you're looking at a $5.9 million shortfall, which is all coming out of youth sports because of the property tax cuts that have already been done.
Clarence.
From a standpoint of Fremont County, we're doing fine. And what I mean by that is that every year we work on the issue of stabilizing the budget and making sure that we are making everything work. In the future, yes, we will have to look at the state grants, federal grants. We will have to look at the issue of where those funds can come that are additional funds that are being processed and given out. We debate a lot and we argue a lot. And one of my major fights is to make sure that the sheriff department gets their funding, and I always make sure they do. But in that, we have the funding. We just have to know where it needs to go at that particular time, and we do that, and we've been doing that. And we struggle on, and we keep doing that. We're not Teton County. We're Fremont County, and we struggle on, and we struggle on good, we struggle on hard. Thank you.
Ryan, sorry, go ahead.
You want me not to answer this?
I do want you to answer it.
We were
And you can
trained-
even start off the next one.
Oh, that's even better. We were trained, as far as our property taxes, to make sure that our schools were funded, our county government was funded, all of our government was funded. And you guys, I am not a proponent of the tax reduction. You guys, I got 900 acres, and I've got 3 houses. I was trained to make sure that our children were taken care of, that our schools were taken care of, that our sheriff's department was taken care of, that we had everything that we ever wanted. But now we're looking at a funding shortfall because our mineral taxes aren't what they used to be. And so just so you guys know, I'm not all in as far as funding reduction for anything local.
Okay, I promise you could start this next one because it fits your
Shoot, dude.
thing.
I'm all in.
Do you support the proposed 3/4% tax for EMS, air service, and public transportation? Why or why not?
I wholeheartedly support the 3/4% tax increase. I have talked with every single entity in the last 3 weeks regarding turning it into something that is sustainable and that is run like a business. They have educated me in knowing just exactly what, how, and when their funding comes in, and I can't wait to tell you guys just exactly what I've learned in the last 3 weeks as far as if we run them like a business, if we actually turn it around and then do it like a business. Because my first rodeo, I said, if you don't run it like a business, you go out of business. And that's not how this works. But I know how it works now.
Clarence, what do you think?
Well, I was the commissioner that voted against it. And the reason I voted against it was that government should not be involved in the issue of putting taxation upon our constituents. In that, government should come together in a collaborative way to solve problems problems before we even have to put it on the people. And the issue of this funding, Wind River Transit Authority is not used in Shoshone, it's not used in Jefferson City, it's not used in Du Bois. So your people in those areas are going to vote for a taxation that they don't even use in a sense of transportation, in a sense of Wind River Transit Authority. The ambulance is what we needed to concentrate on, and that's what I was fighting for. I voted against it, and I still will. But in a sense, we're a 5-unit, and we go on, and I assist in every way I can with it now. But in that, I voted against it.
Chanel?
Whoops. No. I support it. I think it's, I said earlier, I believe the ambulance is essential for people, and our county is vast. I would actually like to see our ambulance service grow. I know there are a lot of people that don't like that this tax is lumped together. That's what I've heard from different constituents. They wish they were done separately, but that can't be done the way this is written in that MOU. The WRTA seems to be a bone of contention. I've been in Riverton forever, and I've watched a lot of people here use it and utilize it. It is a public transit for our county, which I think helps us grow our economic development as well, just having that also with the airport. So I think it's essential that we have this. I don't know that this tax will be what sustains it. If we might have to get a little more creative.
Steph?
The short answer is I do support it, but I'd like to share some of my thinking about that in terms of showing how I would approach future decisions. I too am frustrated with the lack of the bundling of all those together, because it gives the public less of a choice in terms of what they do want to support. And it is under state statute that we have the authority with approval to put something on the ballot like this, but it's for the people to decide. But that is just my frustration. I do support the ambulance, and I recognize that the airport is a vital infrastructure for connecting Fremont County to the rest of the world, and as a business source, as a business support. And also the districts that I would represent, Lander and Hudson, voted for this, and so I'm respecting my local constituents' voice in this too.
Ryan?
I think, like I said earlier, the 3/4 cent tax, I think it's a necessary evil. I think it's imperative that we do pass it, but I think it has to be completely managed differently. Air service is vital for the growth and economic vitality of Riverton and Fremont County, but it has to be managed differently. I mean, I sat on the EDGE committee, and I watched, every entity out there just completely mismanage how it was done. It was used as a personal, piggy bank for a lot of them. Board president of the EDGE committee at the time even called out the city of Riverton for it as being a piggy bank. So it has to be managed differently. It has to be managed appropriately. I think, Fremont County is very unique. Just like when we sat on the Road and River Visitors Council Board of Directors, we had to go in front of every entity just to get the budget passed. That was Riverton, Lander, Du Bois, Hudson, Shoshone. That's crazy to go in front of everybody to have a budget passed. But it falls into how we manage it.
Clarence, you're first on this one. When resources are limited, what public services do you consider essential? How would you determine which services should continue to receive funding and which should be?
The Sheriff's Department and the crucial need for law enforcement. But also, what we truly need to understand is that within our infrastructure, we have those vital needs for the constituents. And so in that, it is truly hard to cut any of those programs. And we really haven't cut them back. What we have done is managed. And in that management, we have been able to not cut programs in a sense of totally cutting them and letting them go. Management is about looking at it from a standpoint of being able to take what you have and use it in a way where, you have more productivity and more progressive movement, rather than saying we're just going to cut. What we do is we look at what we have and we manage that with the best we can, and that's what we've been doing, and it's been working.
Ryan?
Will you repeat the question?
When resources are limited, what public services do you consider essential? How would you determine which services should continue to receive funding and which should be reduced?
I truly believe we have to have the court system. We have to have the sheriff's department, ambulance services. Those are the most essential and vital to me in what I understand and believe. All else, I think, we need to look at what spending we have and what resources we do have. Kind of knowing what I do know now. If we're not going to do anything with Bunk's Barbecue, put it up, sell it, and, do what we got to do with it. Earn revenue that way. The annex, if we're not going to make money with the annex and the fair board can't figure out what to do with it, put it on the market, sell it. We have ways to, cut cost. The annex right now costs upwards of $10,000 a month just to maintain it. And it does absolutely nothing. So, I have no idea what Bunk's Barbecue and that building does to actually cost on a monthly basis, but I think, if we can put it on the market and sell it, or give it to Erin Ivy and let her actually have a coroner's office, then that's what we need to do.
Chanel?
I always hate to see anything cut. My priority is, of course, safety. So our sheriffs, our ambulance, our court system, all of those things. I think it's just trying to get creative, think outside the box a little bit harder, and figure out ways to maybe we could share things a little bit better than we do as a county right now, and work together with other municipalities.
Steph?
County government is required to provide certain services under the law, which includes the sheriff's office and others. Believe it or not, some are not required. Fire response, for example, is not a required program, but we have to prioritize public safety above all else in many ways. So I would not be driven just by what I've heard other counties doing to only look at what they are required to do under law, but what the public needs and our unique circumstances here. That requires a lot of public engagement and input. But I would also say it's a failure of leadership if we do have to cut services, because we should be doing planning in advance, reading what's coming down the line, and taking steps either through reserves or creative solutions to make sure that we can provide those services.
Jeff?
You're going to hear the same thing from me like 15,000 times, but I agree with everybody on the board. I mean, we have to have the sheriff's department.
Can you talk into the mic?
We have to have the sheriff's department. We have to have ambulance service. But if you come to the county commission, you better have a very good business plan. It has to be sustainable. If it's not sustainable for 5 or 6 or 10 people in front of the board, then that's a bad business decision. I mean, that would be how I would have gone out of business 31 years ago. I mean, if you're going to come, you better have a good business plan. You better be sustainable. And if the commission is going to support you, that's how we make a better community.
Okay, if anybody in the audience has written a question on a card, volunteers are going to pick those up. Okay, Chanel. How should appointed boards and county commissioners weigh strong public input when making policy decisions? And what principles should guide that balance?
Okay. I think, read that to me one more time. I want to make sure I'm answering this correctly.
How should appointed boards and county commissioners weigh strong public input when making policy decisions? And what principles should guide that balance?
I think they should see if it's legal, necessary, affordable, transparent, and can be long-term for the county.
Jeff?
State statute, I mean, 100%. If it's within the law, then you have to consider it as an appointed board. You have to figure out just exactly if it's sustainable, and then you say yes or no.
Ryan?
You know, when it comes to the board of directors for anything, whether you're a governing board or just a volunteer board of directors, you know, when I look at that, you know, let's take the fair board, for example. You know, I think anybody who is being considered or being appointed to the fair board, I think you have to have a background that supports, you know, what the fair is and what the fair does. And, you know, you have to have knowledge in what you're doing. I think when you look at the library board, I think you have to look at and consider everything the people who are applying, what is their background, where do they come from. But I also think you need to take in the directors of the entities, whether it's the director for the library, the director for the fair, who are they, what is their input. Everybody has a public comment section, you know, so you're going to go through public comment, but I think the public also has to show up, not show up when it's too late and when it's over and done with. The public is at the end of the day, they are your constituents. They're the ones who put you where you need to be, and you need to follow what they want.
Steph?
Public participation is messy, but it's important. And you have to have people appointed to the boards that are open to hearing from the public, respecting the input they get. It's one ingredient of many. The other things with management of the boards is having professional expertise that is also listened to. That is part of the conversation as well. But if you ask for public comment, you need to make sure that you're following through on actually ensuring that that comment is at least heard and considered. But it doesn't rule the day. It's one ingredient in many things to consider, especially what is the mission of the institution and keeping to that mission as required by statute as well.
Clarence?
The idea of being on a board is about the issue of understanding what you're getting into. In that, I would say that those who want to be on any board need to take the time to understand all that there is to it. And in that, part of the essence of working together is that collaboration, that network. Any governing board will have a director, and in that collaboration, that networking, that being able to listen and hear, that director who watches over everything is very important. In that, a board, anybody who wants to be on that board can't put an S on their chest, put a cape on and say, I'm going to change the world. They have to be part of a team. They have to work as a team, and they have to be able to do things as a team in a way that's appropriate. And in that, follow the law, follow the guidelines, follow the policies, which they're trained in, and work with the directors who are part of that effort. Thank you.
Ryan, I asked you that question, right? Okay, good. Public lands goes to you, Ryan. What role do you believe county commissioners should play in public land issues in Wyoming, where land is often managed by federal and state agencies? How should commissioners advocate for local community interests?
When it comes to public lands, I mean, we have to be good stewards of everything we do. County commissioner's role is to protect Fremont County. You know, but at the end of the day, do we own that land? You know, is it located on Fremont, within Fremont County? And does Fremont County own that land? If they don't own that land and the federal government or even the state government is wanting to do something that we disagree with and the citizens of Fremont County disagree with, then we need to fight for that. We need to be good stewards of what we're doing and how we're doing it. You know, sometimes there are things where, you know, we just need to make sure that the public is aware of what is happening, and we need to get the information out there and tell our story. You know, what is our story of, you know, why do we care about this? And that falls on the county commissioners, because they're going to know what's happening with federal or with state land before anybody else does. So we need to be the stewards of telling our story, what is happening, and if we can't protect it, we protect it at all cost.
Chanel?
I agree that if we can protect it, that we do protect it. But I also think we need to know what's trying to go on with it. Also, we have a very, very clear understanding. I'm not very up on the public land situation. I mean, I hear about it a lot over with Yellowstone and Teton County a lot more. I would need to get more information to answer this better.
Steph?
Counties are given an important role in land management consultation, both at the state statute level and in federal law through NEPA. So we have a job in being cooperators when development or projects are proposed on public lands in our area. I would like to see a little bit more transparency brought into this process because the public sometimes doesn't know what the county cooperators are saying or representing in those meetings with the federal government, and we can bring more light to that and get more public input. I do support multiple use of public lands and responsible use, but I also believe that not every use should be on every acre, and some acreage should be protected for other values. And I would absolutely, in a role of a county commissioner, oppose any large-scale transfer or sale of our public lands out of the public domain.
Clarence?
It is vital that the county be a protector. And the reason I say that, throughout the nation, counties have been fighting against the federal government and the state government on the issue of what you just stated. In that, we have to be very aware that there are decisions that are being made without county input, without the issue of the county being involved. And so we have to make a stand, and we have to be able to stand up and say, say no. We're not going to be a part of this. No, we don't want this to happen. And we have to protect the land that we have. Because in that, you may have something placed in this county that we as a county commissioner may have no say in, but we have to stand up and make a fight because we can't have that happen. And that's happening throughout the nation. And we have to stand and make a fight. Thank you.
Jeff?
So did I mention, sorry, I got to get up to the microphone. Did I mention that I'm a cattle rancher? Do public lands directly affect the biggest economic development generator in Fremont County? Did I say that? Of course I did. So you have to make sure that any public lands are put to beneficial use, and they have to support this county in every way, shape, or form. And so you can talk about AI stuff, you can talk about bringing some new company into Fremont County, but you have to realize who the biggest economic development company is in Fremont County. Guess what? That's agriculture. FYI.
So Steph, this one goes to you. Data centers present both opportunities and challenges.
Oh no, I already answered.
I hope you can say
Sorry,
more.
I got to turn.
Data centers present both opportunities and challenges. As interest in data centers grows in Wyoming, what policies do you believe should govern their development? What standards or safeguards would you support to ensure local community resources like water, energy, and infrastructure are protected?
Well, first of all, we have no mechanisms to do any of that right now, both in state law and at the county process. We have more laws on the books about a passive solar farm in Fremont County than we have anything for a data center. So number one, we need to work with the legislature to get some laws in place that would assure that we protect our water quality and quantity, that we also don't pass on electricity costs to other residents, but that they pay for their own electricity costs. And any other siting requirements, such as we don't want them in a major wildlife winter crucial range either. So all of this stuff can be done. It's been done in the past. It needs to be done either through the Industrial Siting Act or other state laws that gives counties a strong role and voice in that, which we have in many other processes. It's a can-do thing, and I would work to make this happen.
Jeff?
Your mic.
I'm going to protect the agricultural community 100%. I don't personally need a data center in Fremont County. I absolutely disagree with the water that they use. You guys, if you're a follower of local news, they contaminated the raw water system in Cheyenne. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't keep care of the economics in Fremont County that we have right now. We don't need to destroy our environment, do anything naughty at this point until we're destitute. And guess what, you guys? We're not destitute right now.
Clarence.
Data centers are not, they're not needed in Fremont County. They're not needed anywhere. And the reason I say that is most data centers, if you look at politicians who are supporting data centers, they're getting something out of it. They're getting money out of it. They're getting increase in their own wealth out of it. They're not worried about the people. They're not worried about the land. They're not worried about the water. They're worried about their own income after that data center starts to build up and they have input in it. I mean, they have stock in it. We don't need that. We need to protect our water. We need to protect our land. We need to protect all that we have here in Fremont County. No, we don't need a data center. But those who are invested in data centers, meaning those politicians, they have something invested in it. And you have to worry about that because that's all they're worried about. Thank you.
Ryan. I want to give Clarence a high five right now.
I don't support data centers. You know, do I look at data centers as one of those things that is coming, whether we want it or not? You know, they are the cloud for the most part. From the research that I've done and the research that I understand is they're coming. There's data centers that are out there that use less water than a normal household, and there's data centers out there that use less electricity than a normal household. Would I have to look at it and say, yes, I support that? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. The data centers that I do know of, I don't support. I think they're going to destroy Wyoming's natural resources, and I think they're going to take away our ability to go to Boise or go to Ocean Lake. And I don't support that. I don't support that at all. But, you know, with everything in the way that the world is going, they're the cloud. And if it can bring economic value to Riverton, then I would support it.
Chanel.
Data centers are probably coming, whether we're ready for them or not. But I'm in agreement with that we must do everything we can to protect our water. Water is life, and I don't think they're going to help us with that. However, I do want to say this. Technology is incredible, and if the right technology that could guarantee us those things, that water would be safe, that electricity wouldn't go up for all of our constituents and all of us. I mean, in the future, that could be something we do, but we need to do it really, really, really carefully so we make sure that we are benefiting and we're protected.
Okay, I think everybody answered that question, so we're going to move to audience questions. We'll pick on Ryan first. Do you support or oppose the property tax cut referendum on the November ballot?
I oppose it. I do not support it at all. Like I was saying earlier, you know, currently youth sports are at a risk. There's so many youth sports right now that are potentially not coming to Riverton because of the property tax cuts, because the schools don't have the funding. You know, there's basketball tournaments, and right now the biggest thing that happens in school sports, Ronthon tournament that comes in January and is a huge, you know, lifeline for the city of Riverton in the month of January, that may not be here. There are conversations, and I can't guarantee that it will happen or not happen, but there's conversations about not having it. There's a basketball tournament that takes place, that may not be coming here as well. So I do not support it. I think, whatever it takes, we have to support youth sports, and we have to make sure that it comes to Riverton, because without sports and without high school sports and college sports, Riverton looks a whole lot different. The amount of tax revenue that produces and the amount of money that it produces for hotels, restaurants, is enormous, and without it, there's nothing.
Clarence?
I oppose it, and my issue is because that we, as a government, need to be able to use that taxation and be able to create and to survive items that are needed, and in that, we have to be able to have our constituents be able to not lose anything, not lose what they have, in a sense of those items that could be lost in that cut. It's vital that we look at what our constituents really need, in the sense of what they need, and we need to listen to them. We need to be able to answer to them, and in that, I'm opposed.
Ryan? Yeah, I asked you already. No. Chanel?
I also oppose the property tax cuts. I think when you cut taxes that affect us locally, then you get cut services. I mean, I just think low taxes, low services, high taxes, better services. Really do believe that.
Steph?
I oppose it as well. There's so many unintended consequences about that. Losing services such as fire response, even sheriff's response time is going to impact homeowners. And you won't even be able to get homeowners insurance if you can't have fire response within a certain distance. It could devastate a lot of our economy to cut those services so severely. The other thing is the way it's written, it creates a lot of unfunded mandate requirements on our local assessor as well. And so it's got a bigger job, but no money to help them out. So in so many ways, including education, and 60% of our property taxes go to education as well. So there's just so many negative impacts to that proposal.
Just look what Ryan and Steph said. I mean, so my son plays high school sports, and we had to make sure that he got fed when he went out of town because of tax cuts. Give me a break. I've been trained my whole entire life to pay taxes, and now they're proposing tax cuts. They're going to limit the support for my child's high school sports. I was trained. Pay taxes, pay taxes, pay taxes. I don't agree with it at all.
Why don't you keep your mic on? You got it on. That's good. What is your opinion and understanding of governing boards from the commissioner's perspective? And what qualities are important in appointing board members? Governing boards are created by state statute to be run by appointed boards, library, museum, fair.
Whoa, what a question. So I've sat on every single board all the way from Washington, D.C., all the way through Fremont County. And what we're supposed to do is be responsible. I don't know that I can answer that question. You'd have to send that to me and let me write out a response. You guys, you got to figure this out. I'm an engineer. It's either black or white. There's no gray. So you're never going to get anything gray from me. So read it again and see if I can come up with something else.
Maybe everybody probably wants it read again. Maybe I read it wrong. It's in handwriting here. And I suspect they're talking about the fair board and the library board and, What is your opinion and understanding of governing boards from the commission's perspective? And what qualities are important in appointing board members?
So ultimately, in any board, You solve problems as a group. You don't solve problems individually. And you listen to every single thing that the public says. You listen to every single thing that the board members say, and then you formulate a solution to the problem. That's all I can say. I mean, if you guys had let me digest this, that's a hard question. That's a hard question.
Well, I confess, a lawyer texted me half of it, and then somebody else added.
So I don't like lawyers. I don't like lawyers anyway, so, sorry.
That person's watching on screen now. So, Steph, what's your
I
response to
just lost
that?
votes. Sorry.
You know, I think the board selection process has been just a side responsibility that commissioners haven't focused on as much as they should. I think the board selection process and vetting could be improved. For example, I noticed that the board application form is the same I remember it being 20 years ago. And I think that could be updated to provide more relevant information about prospective board members, even to see if they understand the mission of the board that they are about to engage in. You could require more training of new board members, and I do think that the commissioners have a responsibility, if they're a liaison to the board, to really monitor how it's going and early on see if there's problems developing because of the lack of good board governance, and to help them improve that so that we can avert these problems we've gotten into.
Chanel.
I think that when you're selecting boards or appointing boards or interviewing a board member, you do have to vet them, and you have to see if they're there for the right reason and don't have a set agenda and an axe to grind or something along those lines. And they're open and they're willing to work collaboratively with people to come up with a solution. I think being solution-driven has got to be number one for those people.
Ryan.
You know, board governs, staff manages. You know, what I mean by that is, you know, you have a couple of different types of board, and you're talking about a governing board, which a governing board has the ability to hire, fire the staff that are within the budget limitations that are issued to them by the county commissioners in their budget. You know, so when I think of that, you know, I'm not a farmer. Did I grow up on a farm as a 2-3-year-old kid? Yeah. My childhood was turning wrenches as a mechanic, and somehow I fell into hospitality. Weird. But with that being said, if I wanted to take an opinion, let's say the library board, for example, I would get a hold of friends from the library and talk to them about the people that are applying for this board. I would get a hold of Sam Linden and Trevor Becken with, you know, the fair board and say, hey, these people are applying, let's talk about it. You know, what are your thoughts on them? Would they be a good potential candidate? And that's how I would make my decision. I would involve the people who actually are doing this for a living.
Clarence.
You know, governing boards are ones where individuals who apply to those really have to understand what a governing board is, in that they have to come and understand the full sense of what they're going to be doing. Administrative responsibility, finance responsibility, personnel responsibility, and in that following all of those guidelines, all of those policies, to work collaboratively and networkally with that group to establish management, administration for that, whatever they're governing. It has been unique to see people who are placed in there all of a sudden change. And in that, the priority of saying, well, should we place a 60-day probation on them so that when we start seeing some difficulties, make some changes? Because we've seen issues of people who were put on. Thank you.
Do you want me to ask an audience question, or do you want me to go? Okay. I know, but there's one good one down here, too. There's competing good questions. So this one we'll start with, I don't know. How about Ryan? No, we just did you. Chanel. Based on your observations of current county commission meetings and decisions you are aware of, what practices would you continue, and what would you change to improve transparency, fairness, and public trust? It's an audience question.
Well, right now, to me, it seems like the way that you are part of a county commissioner meeting is you either attend it in person or you watch it online. And otherwise, I'm not sure how you get the information that's going on, is what so I would change, I would work on something to have more exposure for the county commissioners. Another way for public comment, possibly. I don't know.
Steph?
Even when I was a county commissioner, I thought the meetings were pretty boring. And there was very few public willing to sit through all of that for hours and hours. I think the agendas can be reformatted so that you're actually putting the issues of real attention to the public at a certain time. I would like to see the county commissioners schedule meetings after work hours, have some in the evenings, like town council meetings, so that the public can actually attend and participate in issues that are of concern to them. And I also think we need to break down communication and some of the formality between the public and the commissioners and have a few informal kind of coffee chat times where people can just come and have a conversation, and the county can have a better way to connect with what's going on with the public and their feelings.
Jeff?
Read it again, because I agreed with everything that Steph said, but I've got some.
Based on your observations of current county commission meetings and decisions you are aware of, what practices would you continue, and what would you change to improve transparency, fairness, and public trust?
So ultimately, if you're going to be transparent, like they said, you have to show up. And if you can't show up to the county commissioners meeting, you can chase me down anywhere. At my house, at coffee with the chamber, every single Wednesday morning. You can ask me questions. If you can't make it to a commissioners meeting, you can email me. You can call my cell phone. If you guys just watched, I texted 3 times during this meeting, and all 3 of those texts were to the Fair Board. So there's no reason why you can't be connected with every single person that's on the commission.
Ryan?
I'd hire Mike Hutchinson to sing Garth Brooks. From what I've seen, I do agree the timing needs to change. I think, you can't hold a meeting at 9 o'clock in the morning and expect a whole lot of attendance on a Tuesday when everybody has jobs and everybody has to work. I think, if we're going to be transparent and open ourselves up, we have to change the time and be more accommodating to the constituents that can actually come and see us and talk to us. I don't feel that it's, the best timing by any means. I do think that executive sessions, those need to be a lot different. I don't think you should go into an executive session by any means to determine whether or not you're going to take a fair board from 7 people to 5 people. So I think there's, executive sessions need to change. But I also think that, we as commissioners need to be more open and be more out there. I think we need to be out in the public a lot more and make ourselves seen and noticed.
Clarence?
Well, being on 10 years and seeing the difference between, and then when I first came on, I was like that. When my first years on, I was like, let's have this in the evening. Let's do this in the evening. And then when I started working, I was like, if we had this in the evening, I'd be here till 2 or 3 in the morning. We work a lot. Sometimes we work till from 9 all the way till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and things we have to get done. In that, transparency-wise, we're the most transparent government there is. If you go to the state government and try to listen to what they have or try to gain information on issues, you're not going to get it. If you go to any other government, we're the most transparent government I've seen, and I've been to all the different board meetings, county governments, in the sense, Fremont County, we meet the most than any other county government in the state of Wyoming. Some of them only meet once a month. We meet all the time, and we're always dealing with things that need to happen. We're making sure departments are coming in and stating what they need to do. We're meeting, and if you want to be on the county commissioner, you better be ready to meet.
Okay, we are running out of time quickly, but there's some great questions here. I'm going to ask one more, and then we're going to go to closing statements. I don't even know who to direct this to. How about you, Steph? Assuming that the commissioners, plural, has hired a trained librarian, should the board be able to override the library's acquisition, display, and oversight policy? Explain.
That's a loaded question.
Would you let me answer it first?
Can he go first?
You want to let him go first? Sure, he can go first.
He just asked me to go first.
Oh, you can go first, Jeff.
So absolutely not. You hire a professional to do their job, and as a board, it doesn't matter if it's the county commissioners, it doesn't matter if it's a library board, you hired that person to do their job. And if you're going to override their decision, you're going to sit down with them very, very closely and figure out just exactly why they made a decision that you don't agree with, or you agree with.
Clarence.
Governing boards are governing boards. In that hiring process, we as a county commission, and we're not going to step in that. That's what I meant by the HR issue. We need to strengthen our human resource department to work with those governing boards to be able to do a better job in hiring process. We don't really have, we don't have a strong human resource department. We have one person who's a human resource department for this huge county government. That can't work. We have to build on that and build a greater, more manageable human resources to work with the governing boards, work with all the departments, so that we are in that realm of being able to hire and even fire in a better way.
Chanel.
Will you read it again?
Yeah. Assuming that the commissioners have hired a trained librarian, should the board be able to override the library's acquisition, display, and oversight policy?
I don't think so. But I do think it would be the responsibility of the commission to understand what they did so they can do due diligence to their constituents and explain how come they're supporting it.
Ryan?
I go back to board governs, staff manages. The only point in time where I would ever see that appropriate is, if the board of directors or the county commissioners, they give a budget, they set the budget. From that point on, it's hands off. The county commissioners stay away, they don't get involved, unless there's something in terms of a legal or ethical matter that they need to step into. The board of directors, I don't think a board of directors should ever get involved in the weeds either. That's not their job. They hired this person. If the board has issues, there's a process. It's, we don't like what you do. Here's why we don't like what you do. You're violating these policies and procedures or these, legal matters. So here's step one, here's step two. Step three, unfortunately, we have to let you go, and here's why.
Steph.
I pretty much agree with what almost everyone has said here, but I have had an experience when I was county commissioner where we had a hugely dysfunctional board, and in fact, one of the directors, this is back when the museum was very chaotic and controversial, one of the directors actually got arrested. And you can't override the board, but you need to not just be passive. You need to engage and learn more about what's going on and help that board, either change the board or help that board have a better focus and deliver its mission better so that you can correct any problems. But I will tell you, sometimes there are management problems, and you need to assist that board or change that board so it can address them, because it's a waste of public resources. to let that go on.
Okay, everybody should be ready for their closing statement, and let's go the opposite direction. So we'll start with Jeff. And you get 1 minute.
You guys, I'm not putting together a high-end campaign. You either want me or you don't. We haven't had a registered professional civil engineer in Fremont County for 10 years. You guys have had to listen to me. I'm black or white. I solve problems. I've already talked to every single person in this county about what our problems are right now. I texted 2 different people on the fair board while I'm sitting in here talking to you guys. I'm not a fart around guy. We solve problems, we get them done, we move on. You guys figure it out. If you want me as a county commissioner, the county and both the city of Riverton and the city of Lander have supported me for the last 31 years. And now it's my time to give back.
Jeff.
I think what I would say about my leadership if a county commissioner is that I would be proactive. And I want to use an example from the discussion today. We heard from a lot of people, we don't want data centers. Well, there is nothing that gives the county any power to have a voice in that right now. I mean, I would look and say, what do we need, and let's get it in place so that we can assure that the things that people care about, water or electricity costs, or just not having it, we have a voice. But right now, you can throw up your hands and say no, and there's no way to stop it if something wanted to come into our county. So the way I work is to look forward and see what we need and address things and provide solutions before they become big problems. And I do my work, I listen to the public, I work with others, and I just come up with workable solutions. Thanks.
Chanel.
So you wouldn't know it from me tonight, but I really do have some very good problem-solving skills, and I'm not afraid of hard conversations. I'm a lot afraid of public speaking. And I'm excited that I'm doing this race. I started a school with nothing, not even a desk, not a system, not anything for other people. And we had to really think outside the box to make it work, and it's now been open 11 years. I stayed with it for the first 10 years of that, developing several systems to make it work, and changing systems when they didn't work. So I know that I can do this. I just really have a lot to learn, but I'm not afraid of that. I'm actually looking forward to that.
For me, it's I think the county commissioners in the county, there's a lot of money out there that is just being thrown away and not utilized. And I've talked a lot about the fair board, the library board, the county, or in the Iron Ivy in the county coroner, but tax dollars, they're being spent wisely, and the things that we need are the things that we get.
Well, during my time as county commissioner, I have prayed, I have cried, I have served. I have been through the death of my lovely wife, who used to argue with me more than my fellow county commissioners, but she would want me to stand straight and strong. She would want me to do what is right. She would want me to serve, and that's what I've done, and I will continue to do that. I will serve Fremont County. I will do all I can to make that stand and to be able to network, communicate, and work with all to make a better county. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates, for being here tonight. You've given us many things to think about. We thank you for sharing your thoughts and your ideas for our county and for stepping up and running for election. It's not easy. Thank you very much. Thank you to Maggie and Jackie for your work tonight, and to our audience, please make sure that you're registered to vote. Remember, if you didn't vote in the last election, you've been purged. So you will need to show various different IDs. The League will continue to serve Fremont County residents by providing information on elections and issues affecting our electoral process. Please join us tomorrow night here for the Riverton Mayor and the Riverton City Council Ward 1 forums, and on the 21st in Shoshone for the Shoshone Mayor, Wyoming House District 28, and the Shoshone City Council forums. And please enjoy some refreshments. Thank you.